students, welcome to our class of entrepreneurship. My name is Dr. Ferista Njero from the Department of Economics. I'll take you through 4 lessons on entrepreneurship skills. You're welcome. I go straight to the point and I try to explain about entrepreneurship because it's a common word that we keep using every day, and sometimes we may not really know what exactly it means. Today, I want us to look at a number of things that we may refer to as entrepreneurship. In our everyday life, we talk about it. We talk about the SME, small and medium enterprises. We talk about transport. We talk about many other areas that involve the online transactions that we take, and all these basically are entrepreneurship. But we want to really understand what is entrepreneurship. As much as all what we think about business, it is correct. So we start by introducing the topic and finding out what are we expected to learn by the end of lesson 1. So we'll know what entrepreneurship is. We shall know who is an entrepreneur. We'll look at how far has entrepreneurship evolved, maybe in the world and also in Kenya. We are going to discuss the role of an entrepreneurship in economic development because for sure it is the key. Even facing what we are facing today, at the end of the day, we really have to come and invest and have so many business activities for us to bring back our economy to where it was before the pandemic and also to be able to develop it. So an entrepreneur will be key in bringing the country back to its feet. Then we'll be able to understand what is the entrepreneurial cultural practices in Kenya. We are going to talk about that also. What are the theories that surround entrepreneurship? People always want to understand. What are the theories? What are the beliefs that guide or that are talked about by different scholars and every other layman about entrepreneurship? Then we look at the role of innovation. Finally, at the end of that lesson 1, I'll be able to give you a few questions that are just sample questions that you can review in your time. So let's start by trying to understand what is entrepreneurship. One French economist called Richard Cantillon, he brought it out and said that it is derived from the word entreprendre, which means to undertake. What is it that we are undertaking? An entrepreneur undertakes a risk, and that's where he brought out the definition from. Entrepreneurship are all activities that are set up in a business, and they take the entrepreneurs will take financial risks with the hope of making a profit. So entrepreneurship are those activities. Entrepreneurship is a process, and I want us to really look at this. We shall not call you, for example, an entrepreneur simply because you have started a big supermarket, you have started trading at the roadside, or you have just started your own kiosk. No. But we say entrepreneurship is a process. That is very key. It is what you do every other day, and we see you starting a business and you grow it, and we start observing that you have something unique in you. You are able to grow. Entrepreneurship, therefore, is a process of designing, launching, and running a business. It is described as the capacity and the willingness to develop, organize, and manage a business venture for a long time. And that is why when we say that there is somebody is an entrepreneur, he has already demonstrated that capacity or that willingness to keep on trying and doing everything. It doesn't mean that when you start a business, for example, and it fails, you start another one and it fails, you are not in entrepreneurship. You are. But we must be able to observe that consistent capacity to be able to move things, to organize and manage a business. And basically, it is with the aim of making a profit. Entrepreneurship is the act of creating a business while building and scaling it to generate a profit. You must be able to nurture. We compare this with, you know, the way the farmers are able to plant their seeds and they nurture it to grow and they watch them grow and they are happy. You know, you see a farmer in the farm and they are very happy. They're looking at their farm, the plants they have done and they have nurtured and they feel good. An entrepreneur will do the same. He will watch the business grow. And if he has that spirit, because entrepreneurship is a spirit, then he will be able to get excited about it. And he will be motivated to even see it grow and blossom. And we continue looking at what entrepreneurship is all about. We may just talk about entrepreneurship as an activity or as an event, but we have said basically it is a process. So we look at what has people said, calling it an activity, calling it an event, but for us, we are looking at it in a more modern way or deeper way, and we are saying entrepreneurship is all about transforming the world by solving the societal, the political, the economic problem. If you are able to solve those issues, the problems that people face every day by providing a solution, then you are in entrepreneurship. It involves that you initiate change. You bring in a creative manner, an innovation or a product that is going to satisfy the customer and that is going to bring solution to their problem, to make their lives much easier. For example, when you're even washing clothes, the fact that a soap has been developed, it makes our washing clothes faster and easier and more efficient. And that becomes an innovation or a business. And therefore, as long as any activity is providing a solution to the society or to the political class or to the economic, for economic development, then we can classify it as an entrepreneurship activity. We ask ourselves, who is this entrepreneur? No definite definition has really been brought up, but debate has continued. But we are going to observe that the fact that they have almost similar characteristics, we are almost able to define who they are. This is a person who undertakes to organize. Why is he organizing? He's putting other factors of production together. He must be able to know how much of this factor A and B, for example, land, how many laborers can be able to work on this piece of land to get maximum output. That is entrepreneurship. He must be able to organize, he must be able to manage, and he must be able to assume the risk of a business. Now, when we talk about assuming the risk, it basically talks about management. Now, entrepreneurs are said to be innovators. When we say that they are innovators, we are saying they are able to create new demand. There is something that entrepreneurs hate, which we call the status quo in the market. They will always disrupt the market as they try to create new demand. Why? If, for example, the market is said to be at an equilibrium, where demand is equal to supply, we'll never have any variety. Everybody will be satisfied. We'll never have any growth. And that is one situation that entrepreneurs hate, because they disrupt the market with new ideas, with new innovations. And that way, they create growth both socially and economically. They're able to make the social lives better. They're able to make the economy to grow by the innovations that they make. Now, they always create something new and arouse a new interest from the consumer. And I gave an example about maybe the Omo. Today they will tell us that Omo with power form. Tomorrow they tell us Omo is gentle to your hands. They are trying to create a new demand, a new interest from the consumer. Entrepreneurs are developers. They design, they develop new products. Today, we see a product that has got this color, this shape, this scent. Tomorrow they bring it out in a different way that will excite the customer, so that the customer's interest will always be kept high. Now, they are the people who recognizes and seizes opportunities, converts those opportunities into workable and marketable outputs. That is what differentiates an entrepreneur from a normal trader. Sometimes we have even said we mistake entrepreneurs when we see them able to keep on multiplying their products because they have that capability to multiply resources. We even sometimes brand them names. We say they are witches, they have visited the devil, they have, all manner of these. But it is because maybe some of us are not able to do that. They are not able to multiply our resources as fast. So we keep asking ourselves, where did he get this money? How was he able to grow this business that fast? And that is why from the initial point I said, an entrepreneurship will not call you an entrepreneur simply because you've opened a bank, you've opened a kiosk, a shop, or whatever. We watch and see whether you have that spirit, because entrepreneurship is a spirit. It is able to instigate from innate, and you're able to really make right decisions. And we'll not call you, is until we see you blossom, we see you making the right decisions, being able to multiply resources, then we say, surely this is an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are able to add value. They add value on time, on effort, on money, on skills. They are able to add value on everything that they touch. And that is why they are able to multiply their resources. They are able to implement ideas and reward and get rewards from these ideas. We ask ourselves, all of us may have ideas, business ideas. All of us are capable of having those ideas. But you realize that an entrepreneur will be able to implement the ideas and it grows. Whereas we have others who will always have good ideas. Either they are not able to implement them because they are afraid of taking the risks, or because simply it doesn't work. But entrepreneurs will always implement the idea, and that doesn't mean that they don't fail. Sometimes they do fail. But even when they fail, they come up again with either the same idea in a better manner, or they go to a different idea and they are able to implement it. And that is what differentiates a normal trader, what we call a trader, and an entrepreneur. We say that an entrepreneur is an aggressive catalyst for change in the world of business. An aggressive, the key word here is aggressive catalyst. They are able to multiply, like I said earlier. They are independent thinkers. They are very independent. They will not be influenced, for example, negatively. And they will not have those fears that will surround us. They will make a decision, decide to implement an idea, and they invest in it, and they take up the risk. They assume the risk, and without really having to consult so many people. Now, we have good examples. We have those who are small entrepreneurs and those who have done major things. And I want to give a number of examples. We have the likes of the Bill Gates, who will dare to do something, and to invest, and they grow their own businesses. We have Steve Jobs making computers, and this has become part of our lives today. Today, we cannot imagine a world without computers. At some point, they were not there. But today, we cannot imagine living without them. Just like the founders, the people who developed the smartphone and all those. In Kenya, we have our own. We have Dr. Mwangi, who could be able to identify an opportunity from those people who are low-income earners, and they were not able to invest. They were not able to be banked by the mainstream banks. And from that gap that he was able to identify, he brought up a bank, called it even a local name, but today it is a major player in the market. It is challenging the mainstream banks that have been there for many years. And they have been able to penetrate, and the East and Central Africa, they are able to penetrate, and they are doing great jobs. Now, we have Chris Kirubi. We all know about him. He has been an investor, and he has made change in the world of business. We have the founders of the Safaricom, which is our livelihood today. All these are examples of people who are able to multiply their resources, small resources, and they are able to nurture and grow. Indeed, entrepreneurs imagine the world differently. That is why we say it is a spirit. They don't see chaos when we see. And I want to give an example of what is happening in the world today. Whereas some of those who are not entrepreneurs will look at the COVID-19 and complain and, lament and, look for solutions, try to see complain about everything. An entrepreneur will seize this as an opportunity. They will look at what is it that I can offer. Remember, I said that an entrepreneur is somebody who offers solution. An entrepreneur in this specific pandemic we are in, they will look at what are the solutions. Some of them will come and do masks. Some will provide the sanitizers. Others will provide, just recently, we were told about the students from Kenyatta University who developed a ventilator. So those are entrepreneurs looking for solutions that can assist the society. And if they are able to multiply, sell them in large numbers, basically they build their business. So entrepreneurs are people who are able to see things, chaos, every situation in a different eye. They don't complain, they look for solutions. Now, when people die in masses, those who are in the business of making coffins, they will not look like they are sad people are dying. They will be offering the solution to bury their loved ones. So, irrespective of whatever business they may be in, they will still be able to offer a solution to the societal problems. Entrepreneurs, finally, they see possibilities and solutions where an average person sees annoyance and problems. Understanding what an entrepreneur is can help us to recognize the value that they have and they put in our day-to-day lives. I want to say this. From all the things that we observe about entrepreneurs, and the number of entrepreneurs that we have read about and we have interacted with, we look at their common characteristics, and there are a number of them. We can go through a few. For example, they have very high IQ. They have very high IQ. They are self-motivated. They are persuasive. They are visionary. They are aggressive. I've already talked about it. They are very competitive. They are goal-oriented. They are able to undertake risk. They are not risk averters. They are risk takers. They have what we call opportunistic behavior. Every time they spot an opportunity, they will seize it. They will not just wait and sit back and wait for somebody else to do something. They have what we call an desire to achieve. They may have a lot of money, but in them, they have that drive. Because they want to achieve, they may not necessarily go for profit. They will go for maybe building an empire, that is what gives them satisfaction. They have a desire to achieve. Another characteristic is that they have a desire to be autonomous. And that is why, in our next slide, we are going to see that those who are entrepreneurs, finally they become self-employed because they have that desire to be autonomous. They want to be the people to make their own decisions, to implement their own ideas without being limited, and to be able to control things. They have what we call locus of control. So they want to have that. They have ability to consolidate resources. They are able to manage. They are good decision makers. And above all, they are also good negotiators. They communicate well. They are able to communicate to their workers their vision. And we realize that if we look at all those entrepreneurs who have really been able to build even empires, look at their characteristics and you realize all of them, quite a number of, all of them, or most of them will have most of these characteristics. They are called common features of entrepreneurs. Let's try to understand about evolution of entrepreneurship. Now, I said earlier on when I was defining entrepreneurship, I said there is a French economist called Richard Cantillon. he brought out the issue of entrepreneurship and said that it is bearing risk. You know, it is a risk-bearing activity, undertaking the risk. In the same period, we have other people who have talked about entrepreneurship. For example, we have Joseph Schumpeter. As early as 1934, he wrote about entrepreneurship. And he said that entrepreneurs are creative distractors. They distract the status quo, the market. They disrupt the market. They bring out other new things through innovation. Schumpeter is one of the gurus of entrepreneurship. He has written a number of issues, and he even calls entrepreneurship a spirit. And he says that there is that innate push that makes that person who is the entrepreneur to really do what he does, and to be able to have that, I don't know whether it's the seventh eye or it's the sixth eye, to be able to spot business opportunities in every situation. We have Israel Kirzner. In the year 2000, he said that an entrepreneur is a person who discovers previously unnoticed profit opportunities. Nobody was noticing that when we collect garbage and we are able to convert the garbage into energy. You know, garbage was being piled in different places here and there until an entrepreneur will come in and say, oh, hello, this is something we can be able to convert into a profit opportunity. And it does. So he talks about, Kirzner says that it all basically depends on how business alert somebody is. It is an issue of the mind, and he calls it business alertness. That is Kirzner. So I said earlier that because of that desire to be autonomous, those who become entrepreneurs, although the entrepreneurs end up being in self-employment. Self-employment can be where you are able to start your own business activity or your organization and be able to run it, be able to make decisions, and be able to manage it. And that is what we call self-employment. Now, to have a successful self-employment, one needs to have or to develop. You may not have them initially, but you can develop a number of competencies for you to be able to succeed in business. Remember, it is not just easy that when you start a business, even as much as you could be an entrepreneur, it will just automatically grow. So you need to develop, or you kind of acquire some of these competencies. Some of them are entrepreneurial competency. What is entrepreneurial competency? We look at some of the parameters that we can measure entrepreneurial competency. The ability to be creative. You know, creative. You know, every person can be creative. There are those who are entrepreneurs and they are very creative. They are able to bring out a combination of things, and they are able to see things that can be combined easily to come out with a good output. They are very innovative. That entrepreneurial competency is characterized by innovativeness. Must be able to keep on adding new features into the existing product. Then they must be business alert. They must be able to spot a business, smell. Sometimes we say they smell businesses. In everything they smell business. So they are business alert. Another competency is leadership. A leader is somebody who is able to spell out the vision, to lead and achieve things through people. That's a leader. So the entrepreneur is said to be the architect or the leader in his business. He defines the vision, he's able to create that idea, and he brings out other people to assist him obtain his goal. So an entrepreneur must have that competency, the leadership competency. He must be a good time manager. Time management is a competency. And that is why you realize that in an estate, you'll be able to identify who an entrepreneur is, even through time management. One person is opening their business at 9, the other one opened at 6, and they're able to work through. So the customers in that estate will know. If I want to get whatever I want right now at 6 in the morning, I can only go to this particular shop because they are the people who open at that time. But I cannot go to so-and-so shop because most likely they will not have opened. So with the time, one business will be seen to be growing while the other one is still stagnant. Time management is a competency. What about competitive competency? Some of the traders will fear competition, but an entrepreneur must have that spirit of competing. We must be able to see if my opponent, my competitor is offering this product, what are their weaknesses? How can I beat that competition? And how can I improve my business so that I'm able to compete with them effectively? How can I improve even maybe my PR? How I treat my customers so that they always want to come back to me. There are many things that, there are many ways that one can be able to compete. Then they must have negotiation competency. This is another skill that is really required, because if you're not able to negotiate with your customers, you're not likely to be able to convince them. So that is a competency that one requires. What about risk management? The entrepreneur must really know how much of the risk am I likely to face, and how do I handle this risk? Some of the risks require that you go for insurance. It's part of risk management. Some of it requires that you just assume them and be able to be ready to take them up in case a peril occurs. But however, risk management is a competency that is required in any business. Then the last one, but not maybe the others, but I'll talk about organization competency, the ability to create the right structures. Structures that are working and are able to create a flow of communication of authority, etc., so that work can be done. So if those who are entrepreneurs are in self-employment, they must be able to either acquire these competencies, or some of them are there. They must be able to develop them themselves. I want us to look at theories of entrepreneurship. I said earlier on, as I was introducing this lesson, that many people will think about entrepreneurship in layman's language. They will talk about it in the villages, in the marketplace. But we have tried to create an understanding of what really entrepreneurship is all about. But we ask ourselves, where does the entrepreneur come from? You know, are they born? Are they, are they developed? Where do they get their skills? There are a number of people, and as I said, theories are explanations to phenomena or to events. So, similarly, people have tried to explain about this mysterious person we are calling an entrepreneur. So, we are going to look at basically 3 theories of entrepreneurship. The first one is called the psychological theory. This theory is interesting because it says that entrepreneurs are born. Simple. That one has to really be born entrepreneur for you to be able to do all those things that I've talked about. They emphasize on the emotional and mental aspect. This, they will call it a spirit, that it is something that it is inside an individual. It is not something that you acquire from the environment or from anywhere. You are just born with it. And they use some of the traits or characteristics that I talked about to justify that entrepreneurs are born. For example, they talk about the level of intelligence, the IQ. Entrepreneurs have got very high IQ. IQ is an inborn trait. They talk about creativity. They talk about, by the way, entrepreneurs, those that succeed, they are very convincing. They show their leadership. They have a trait of being attractive, being able to attract customers. That is something that is inborn. They have good communication skills. They have ability to influence. Those are natural. And they use those traits as a way of justifying that entrepreneurs are born. Now, they also give example of McClelland's theory, who talks about that an entrepreneur has got the need to affiliate, the need to achieve, the need to have power, autonomy. And because of that, they say, and basing their theory or having McClelland's theory to back them up, they say actually entrepreneurs are born. They also use another theory to back their argument, Rotter's theory. It is called Rotter's locus of control. Entrepreneurs like being in control, and that is why they will not go look for employment. They will want to do it themselves. They want to be the ones who are making decisions and maybe ordering people around. So they have that locus of control, and they use that theory. They also use another theory. It's called action regulation theory, which talks about, it elucidates that the performance of entrepreneurs depends on their action. What is it that they do every day? That is why I said earlier that it is not an event. Entrepreneurship is not an event. It is what you do every day. It's a process. You grow a seed, you see it grow, you see it blossom, and that is when we call you an entrepreneur. So according to the psychological theory or traits theory, they say what you do every day is what defines either you as an entrepreneur or just a trader. Then we have the second theory. It is called the resource-based theory. The resource-based theory says that the organizations or entrepreneurs compete depend on what resources they have. And then the resources that you have or one has differentiate them from the other person. So it says that it is the firms or the business, the bundle of resources that will differentiate one firm or one entrepreneur from another. And they talk about an acronym, profit theory. Profit, in this case, it is an acronym where P stands for physical facilities or resources. Then R is the reputation. You must have the right reputation. Because if you do not have the right reputation, as much as you want to attract customers, for example, if everybody in my neighborhood know that I steal, I break people's houses, and I open a business, I may not have that reputation. If I open a business and I am able to do fraudulent deals, again, I may not have that good reputation. And that works against any business. So then we have O, stands for organization, that ability to be able to have the right structures in place so that there is the flow of authority, there is the flow of communication. F is financial resources that are required. We all know that capital is the lifeline of every business. Without finances, you will not be able to really grow your business. So you need to have the finances, the initial finances, and of course you need to be able to grow your finances so that you can continue to grow your business. What about the intelligence? We say that is also a resource that if you have, the resource-based theory says intelligence is one of the resources that the entrepreneurs must have for them to be able to grow their business. And finally, T stands for technology. We know today that the world is ruled by technology. If a trader or if entrepreneurship, is not able to be as dynamic as the dynamism in technology, you're likely to be left behind. And therefore, the resource-based theory says that those resources is what counts. If they are available, you are likely to grow. If they are not available, you're not likely to grow as an entrepreneur. The third one is called the sociological theory of entrepreneurship. And it argues that entrepreneur who is able to solve sociological problems is the one that is able to grow. I want to cite an example, although it's not on my slide, of a young man in Kibra who was able to develop a solution for the people around that area. And he realized that there is a lot of plastic. Those days that we had the plastic papers, there were so many plastic papers flying all over. And what he did, he was featured on national TV. What he did, he picked a few boys who would collect all those papers. And when they burnt those papers, they were able to create a boiler where they would boil water And the people in the neighborhood in the morning would come and fetch that water at 10 bob. So he had solved the problem of hygiene. He had solved the problem of having to use paraffin in their own houses. So that way, he was solving a social problem. Basically, entrepreneurs who are able to solve or to provide solutions to social problems are people who are likely to really grow. So it argues that the success of an entrepreneur is affected by their social-cultural activities. They are more likely to achieve growth in a particular social setting, as long as they are offering social solutions. Then, let's look at what we call entrepreneurship and innovation. According to Schumpeter, he says that entrepreneurs must be very innovative. Actually, he almost equates entrepreneurship to innovation. He says that the entrepreneurs hate status quo, as I said earlier. And therefore, they are creative destroyers. They are creative distraction. They create creative distractions. They disrupt the market. They are able to create new demand through innovations. Innovation is developing something new or adding value to the existing product. It is designing new ideas or adding value to ideas, existing ideas. These ideas are always going to create more efficiency, coming up with a more efficient or a more effective product or a more exciting product or process. Basically, that is innovation. Why do we need to innovate? In business, just like in normal life, even businesses go through what we call a business life cycle. And in that cycle, at some point, the business will reach the top. If it does not set a new cycle, it will definitely come down. And that is why innovation is very key on product, on process, on everything. And if anyone does not innovate or add new features, then they are likely to come down. So, what is a business life cycle? We are going to look at 5 phases of every business. And we are calling that the startup at that point. In fact, I want to add a 6th one when the business is just an idea. At that time, there is no investment, but it is just an idea. Then the investor decides now to start it up, to implement that idea. At that point, you start incurring the costs. So, the business will go through a startup. It will start growing. It will mature. At that maturity, if you do not set a new cycle through innovation, which we are calling a rebirth, then you face imminent decline. You need to understand your business, therefore. You need to know at what point am I? Have I reached that maturity that I have to really now innovate? I want to give an example of a company that we had in Kenya sometimes back, the East Africa Industries. And they used to have that Kimbo, which had the tin where it was very hard to open. Most often you would cut your finger when you open it. And then there came a brand, the Tilly brand by, I think, Bidco, I'm not so sure. I need to find out that. And they brought a new product that was easy to open, and they packed the cooking fat in a container that could be reused. That was an innovation. And because of that, it really shook the East Africa Industries. And today, we don't see that product anymore in the market because a new innovation has come. And that is why, as much as Kimbo was a household name, it had reached maturity. Unfortunately, the East Africa industry had not noticed that. And because of that, when a new innovation came, it threw them off balance. It has taken up the market. The new brands have taken up the market. The new way of packing the cooking fat has taken over the market and has thrown away the other one completely, and it has been forgotten. The young people today, they don't know about that former Kimbo that we had. So, we are saying innovation is key for every business. An entrepreneur must know at what stage they are in. I want to demonstrate that using this curve here, that there is the launch, which we are talking about, the startup, up to this point, then the growth, then at this point, you really must understand that you are reaching the top. If you don't set this new curve, basically you face imminent decline in sales, in cash, and in profitability. I want to say this. Every stage that we're talking about here has its own unique challenges. I may not go deeper into that, but for example, at the startup, maybe the initial challenges could be how to look for capital, the seed capital. But if now you are able to overcome all the challenges at every stage, you are able to move to the next stage. But our point today is, at maturity, you must innovate. You must really bring out new issues into your business. Otherwise, it just comes down. Thank you for that. We look at, if you allow me, we look at the entrepreneur's contribution to the national development. An entrepreneur is the driver of every economy. Without entrepreneurs, we will not have the variety of goods, we will not have revenue, the government will not have revenue, there will be social problems, and basically entrepreneurs, they are the drivers of every economy. Whether big or small, they are. Now, we categorize the benefits into 3 areas because broadly they can be able to fit there. It has social benefits. For example, when we have entrepreneurs in a social setting, they are able to provide the goods that are required. They are able to create productivity amongst their communities. They are able to reduce the social ills, prostitution, drunkenness, stealing, all those. They are able to solve all those because they are able to even offer employment to their local people. They are able to rejuvenate the market. They are able to create competition, and they are able to enhance an interaction and understanding between communities. Those basically are social benefits. Let's look at economic benefits. There are a number of economic benefits that we can experience when we have entrepreneurs. Number one, we are able to reduce rural-urban migration. People are able to do their own small businesses in their own areas, so they don't have to come and congest the city. The entrepreneurs are able to create employment, and when people are employed, they are able to generate their own income, and as they generate their income, they are able to improve their living standards. They're able to utilize the locally available resources. They create more capital and wealth. They increase products, and they create demand for goods and services. Thirdly, there are political benefits. When people are having their own livelihood, the government is able to reduce the political upheavals and conflicts. The government is able to be stable, and that way they're able to improve the infrastructure, they're able to contribute to the national security, and all those are political benefits. And therefore we can say that an entrepreneur is an agent of change. His role in economic development really cannot be overemphasized, and he is the key in solving socio-economic and political benefits. We have come to the end of our lesson 1, and I have a few questions here that I'm going to leave you with. I would like that you discuss the common traits of entrepreneurs, like I've indicated. You discuss why entrepreneurs hate the status quo in the market, like I explained. And entrepreneurs are born and not made. Can you justify, or would you agree, or would you go like the resource-based and sociological theorists have said? We need you to understand, and maybe you can think about an entrepreneur in your own area, analyze them, see whether they are actually born or made. Then, why do you think entrepreneurs are important in any economy? I will leave you with those questions for our lesson 1 today. Thank you, and that brings me to the end of lesson 1.
We are in a digital era, and Mount Kenya University knows this. The following are the steps to follow so as to complete your online application. Download the application form from the website www.mku.ac.ke. Attach copies of your academic certificates and ID. Pay the application fees via M-Pesa pay bill number 270988. Your ID is the account number. 2,000 shillings is the charge for a postgraduate. You can also deposit in the bank accounts provided on the website. Then, email all the above to apply@mku.ac.ke.